Hello, I'm Phoenix. I use they, them pronouns.
And I'm Eve. I use any pronouns.
And this month on Hearth and Tome, we are discussing Floating Hotel by Grace Curtis.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
It was a great book.
I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
I don't think that will surprise anybody given how consistently I talk about Frontier, also by Grace Curtis.
Yeah, definitely.
This has been my highest score so far.
Same.
Which
Which is not surprising given what we've read so far, excluding Emily.
Yeah, Emily
was
Wilde
pretty great.
Was pretty great, but this one scored higher for me.
Oh, yeah.
So, as ever, we are using Copile to rate these books, which is developed by Book Roast on YouTube. It's a system where you break a book down into 7 categories, give it a score out of 10 for each category, add them all up, divide by 7, you get an average. It's wonderful. The categories are characters, atmosphere/world building, writing style, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment. Yeah. So let's start right off with our overall scores. What did you give it?
8.2.
Interesting.
Okay.
Funnily enough, sorry, just a random fun fact for you. That is still lower than my score for Emily Wilde was. I gave this a 9.3 out of 10.
I'm not surprised though.
No, I don't think anybody will be surprised by that. Which
like...
still not the highest score we've ever had on this show.
Oh, no.
It doesn't beat Bookshops and Bone Dust.
I don't think anything will at this point. Oh.
Or Cursed Cocktails, apparently.
Really?
Interesting. Only just behind Cursed Cocktails. Cursed Cocktails I give a 9.4. But then, would I still give it that now? I don't know, you know?
I don't know.
After
everything. Out of curiosity, Cursed Cocktails got a 6.5.
mine was 9.4, so...
I'll start by my 6.5.
Very different rating systems here.
Hey, we're crushing it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just do a quick rundown of the plot of the book.
Exactly.
So it is, as it sounds, it is about a hotel that is floating. It's like a spaceship hotel.
Yes.
It's called the Grand Abiona Hotel, and it like moves from planet to planet, and you know people can get on and get off, and it's like very fancy and very luxurious.
Or used to be.
Yeah, it's kind of on a decline.
Yeah.
So the current manager is Carl, who has been on the Grand Abiona for like 40 years. He arrived there as a stowaway, like right at the start of the book, and then we have like a 40-year time skip, and he is now the manager of the hotel, having like served in various positions along the way. And it's kind of hard to describe the plot of this book, but basically there's a whole bunch of characters, and each chapter follows a different character, and we learn little bits about their past and who they are, and throughout it all there's sort of these two main like plot threads. One is that the Empire, which is like, you know, obviously it's exactly what it sounds like, a big space empire, exclusively humans. This is important. There are no aliens, and the Empire is very much like you're not allowed to consume any media that like references like intelligent life that's not human.
Yeah.
So one plot thread is that the Empire, unbeknownst to most of the staff, have like secret agents on board the hotel looking for an individual called the Lamplighter, who is this like anti-Empire rebel who nobody knows who they are or even where they are. The Empire suspects that they're on the Grand Abiona, and the Lamplighter sends out these little like dispatches every now and then that are like basically just like anti-Empire. I don't want to call it propaganda, but like that's kind of what it is. It's like talking about the truth of the Empire and stuff. So that's one plot thread, and the other plot thread is that there is the annual Problem Solvers Conference.
Yeah, I really
which is
enjoyed
a thing
that.
that happens every year on board the Grand Abiona, and this year it's happening a little bit differently, and they're like all sworn to secrecy, and they're trying to like decode a code. But they don't know anything about it, just that it's like different. It's not anything like what they've had before, and their job is to like work out what it is. So that's kind of the two plot threads, and they sort of intertwine, particularly at the end.
Yeah.
But really, it's not so much about the plot; it's about the characters. It's very character focused. So I don't know that there's much more you can sort of say about what happens.
Yeah.
Without spoiling the entire thing.
You really can't. But we're gonna go into spoilers in this episode. So if you haven't read the book, go away, read the book.
Go read it.
Come back.
Yeah.
And we'll
It's
discuss
really good.
everything, because it was very, very good. And
It was.
It was great.
It
I
was.
loved it
This
more
is-
than Frontier.
I think I loved it differently to Frontier.
Okay.
I can see why you enjoyed it more.
Uh-huh.
I think to me I don't think I can do like a direct comparison between the two, because they're
Very
quite
different. Yeah.
You can see why this is advertised as the Grand Budapest Hotel. in
Absolutely.
space.
It gives exactly the same vibe. Or similar
And
vibe.
you can see why it's advertised as being for fans of Becky Chambers.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. It really is both of those things. So if you like either of those things, you will probably enjoy this to some extent.
Oh, definitely.
I will say, if you don't like books where there's not like a lot of action, this maybe isn't for you.
Yeah.
It's not like action packed.
There is like literally only one chapter with a guy running down a hall, and I think that is the
Yeah.
most action we get.
Yeah.
So if you want space battles, this is not the book for you.
This is not the book for you.
Yeah. But it's still very good.
Okay.
But before
Let's quickly talk
Yes.
drinks.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's your hot drink for us this month?
Last month I promised I would do a coffee, and I've caved and not done a coffee, and once again have done a tea.
I think it does bear pointing out though that you currently have a coffee with you.
I
right?
currently have a coffee. It's just a boring ass latte.
It's just
Okay.
a coffee. But I feel like that needs to be made clear to the audience
Yeah.
that Eve is currently drinking coffee, but has a themed tea anyway.
Exactly. So, technically I have brought a coffee with me this month.
Technically,
So there you go.
You technically haven't failed in your promise.
There we go. I take my note literally. Literally. You know the words. I have found a tea recipe from Mountain Rose Herbs called Stargazing Tea, which is 2 teaspoons organic spearmint, a teaspoon of raspberry, a teaspoon of lemon, elderflower, elderberries, hibiscus, and rose petals. You mix it all up and you brew it, and it's delicious both as a cool drink with ice as well as a hot drink. It's very kind of like minty, and it's good for kind of like summer nights is how I kind of like picture it in my head. It's very tasty.
Nice. Sounds good.
It was very scrumptious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I struggled a little bit because my first thought was martini,
Oh, of course.
right? Like the classic.
The classic.
cocktail.
Absolutely.
Turns out it's really difficult to make a non-alcoholic martini that tastes right. And pretty much all of the non-alcoholic martini recipes are just find like this one specific non-alcoholic
Oh,
alcohol
God.
substitute. And I was like, no. But then I was like, I feel like what I need is something that's classy, but
Of
also
course.
like a little bit kitsch. A little bit, because that's kind of the vibe, right? The Grand Dabion Hotel is a little bit over the top, and it's sort of on the decline. And then I found a recipe for a non-alcoholic appletini, and I thought that's the one.
Very
so
nice.
I've got an appletini with me, which is 2 ounces of apple juice, half an ounce of simple syrup, and half an ounce of lemon juice, shaken up in a shaker with some ice, and then poured into a glass that has been rimmed with sugar. So it's
Very nice.
It's got a good like sort of sweet sour balance thing going on. But I thought that was an ideal mix of like classy and also not classy.
That sounds really good, actually.
It's very refreshing.
And I think just like cocktails in general are perfect for this book because of the little cocktail on the cover.
There's literally a cocktail on the cover,
Which
I think
hadn't
is a
noticed
martini.
was there for like the longest time. And was just agreeing with you every time you brought up that it had a cocktail, and I was like, "Where is it?"
It's very much there. I'm pretty sure as well. The Waterstones edition has it on the like hardback.
Yeah. Which the special
The,
edition
like,
still isn't
fancy,
out. Where is it?
Yeah, the one that they still don't have.
Where is it?
Something's obviously gone wrong somewhere on the
For shame.
along the way.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
Cool.
Every copy of this book is gorgeous. If the paperback is ugly, I'll cry. Cause
Well, I don't think they changed. Did they change the cover for Frontier for
I
the
think
paperback?
they changed the colouring, maybe? I might be
Let
wrong.
me have a look. Looks like it's the same.
Oh, great. Okay, perfect.
So that's promising
'Cause
that they'll just
sometimes-
keep the same cover.
Sometimes they make it ugly.
Yeah.
Like Emily Wilde's paperback version with the black.
Oh, is that not the American cover?
Oh, that might be the American cover. Anyway, it's
I
ugly.
don't know.
I don't know why it's black.
I just see. Here's the thing. Whenever I see an ugly cover that's different to the cover I have, I'm like, that's got to be the American cover.
Yeah, it usually is.
I just assume that the American ones are ugly because most of the time they are.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, America.
Yeah. But literally, you're doing
Do
it to
better.
yourselves.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but not that sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Let's dive in.
Yeah. Characters. Dun, 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 dun.
Characters is. I think this is going to be the longest section.
Oh,
probably.
yeah.
So we were having a quick little chat before we started recording. I always like to write down like the names of major characters, and you've
Yeah.
done it too this time.
Yeah.
And
very
we've
proud of
both
myself.
we've both got a list of 17 names
And
of characters who are like relevant to the plot.
and like I've probably missed like 80 of them.
Oh,
Like,
I'm sure. I'm not even
100.
convinced we've got the same 17, but I'm
Me
not going to
neither.
read the list out because that's going to take ages.
Yeah.
So it is very much like ensemble cast
Yeah.
sort of vibes. I would love to see this as a movie.
Oh, absolutely. Or a TV
I
show.
know it would. I know it would just be Grand Budapest Hotel, but in space. But I want it anyway.
I would love it anyway. Yeah.
I think it would work really well on the screen.
Because then you can have like little flashcards, like different perspectives, and like, oh, that'd be really
Yeah.
cool. I like how different
and
people see the
if you
hotel.
got what's his name to direct it, it would be even better.
Anderson.
Sure, the one who did Grand Budapest Hotel. Is that Wes Anderson?
I think it's Wes Anderson.
Yeah, it is Wes Anderson.
Yeah, nailed it.
Get
I know
Wes
my
Anderson
math.
to do
I
it.
was up to say,
And-
I know my maths. I know my movies. I don't know maths.
I know numbers. Wes Anderson's my favourite number.
He sure is.
So yeah, very much an ensemble
Oh yeah,
thing.
for sure.
So
What did
I
you
gave
rate?
characters a 9.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I gave it
dear.
a 7.
Uh-huh.
I
Which you could argue a 7 is a 9 from you.
yeah, I really enjoyed them. I really liked. In particular, my favorite characters were
Wait.
Uli.
I was going to say, we all know Uli Mal.
Uli Mal is
who
the
is a,
bestest boy.
like a mathematician.
In his chapter, there's a whole section of just maths. I took a picture of it and sent it to my friend and they calculated it for me and it made sense. And you know what? As long as it made sense to someone else, I looked at the numbers and didn't think about it. So if it makes sense to a maths person, it makes sense. But it was definitely Uli. Uli is like the bestest guy in the entire book.
Yeah. He is. So he's a mathematician. He is on the Grand Aviona for the Problem Solvers Conference. And he's great. He's fantastic.
He gets in the competition he gets partnered up with Mara Azad, which is also one of
Yes.
my favourite characters. because
she was also brilliant. So
I
she
just love
is
how cranky she is. Language scholar.
A linguist.
Yeah.
An expert in linguistics, and
Mm-hmm.
every other time that the Problem Solvers Conference has been here, she has come to the Grand Abiona and then proceeded to not bother with the conference and just like hung out.
She's
So
just
all
gone
of
to
the
like the
staff
spa.
of the Grand Abiona know her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like friends with them all. Mm-hmm. But this time round, because of the like thing that they're trying to decode, they're like sworn to secrecy, and all the meetings are mandatory and everything. So she has to like, and then once her and Uli start working on the thing that they're trying to decode, she actually gets like she gets engaged, like she's invested, and I love that she's like, I'm in this now.
Yeah.
And she like stops smoking. She stops going to the spa, and some of the regular staff are like, "Are you okay?
Who have you become? This is
She's
not
like, "Look,
you."
This is important, but I can't tell you about it. But this is big."
I just love the pipeline of their friendship as well. Of like, I want nothing to do with you, and Uli's like,
Right
I've
off the
requested to be with you.
Right off the bat, Mara is like, "Who is this freak?
Who
What
is this
he doing?
little
I do not want
guy?"
to talk to him." And Uli, they get paired up, and Uli Mara's like, "Yes, I wasn't sure if they would listen to my request." And Mara's like, "You're what?
You did what? I'm sorry. What?
You did what to me? What? Why?"
Excusez-moi.
But then they end up really good friends.
Yeah.
And they like work really well together, and they do, in fact, obviously, huge spoilers. They work out the code, and discover that it is a message from some sort of alien species.
Yeah.
From, they believe, the Andromeda Galaxy. So they like fully decode it through their powers combined of maths and words. They work out what it is, and it's fantastic. I love them. I love each of them individually, but also them together.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I really love the little like vices they have that she smokes. He drinks a lot of
He
energy
like,
drinks.
insane amounts of energy drinks. Like he
Like-
talks about how one of the suitcases that he brought with him was literally just full of
I
energy drinks.
respect the hell out of that. I would do that
It's
too.
brilliant. I would not, because energy drinks are kind of manky. But,
Oh yeah, no.
you know,
I would be like little cartons of like coffee. Like little sippy
Yeah.
cups, like what you get like apple juice in.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's incredible. Just that image is now in my head.
Thank you. They're great.
So yeah, we've got Uli and Mara. Obviously, we've got Carl.
I couldn't
the
stop because
manager.
this is really bad because I'm watching The Walking Dead at the same time.
Oh, I see.
And so there's also Carl in that, and it's just the brain rot was like incredible.
I love Carl. I
Carl
really
is
enjoyed
amazing.
him. I love that he has this whole thing where basically he's the manager of the hotel, and the manager before him
Nina.
was a woman called Nina, and she was like his mentor. But since she died, he's been in charge, and he's just sort of let the hotel he hasn't. I'm trying to find the way to put this. He's not been like keeping up the hotel.
Yeah.
On a like new thing. He's sort of let the hotel stagnate.
Like
And because it's stagnated, it's sort of declined.
like part of the hotel is now like cut off. You can't go there.
Yeah.
It's only his section.
He's like blocked off a whole area.
Yeah. Some of the
They get
carpet's
fewer
peeling.
guests. Some of the staff have left. There's
Yeah.
only like one engineer left. It's like gradually declining.
Yeah.
And it's sort of because he because like, so when Nina was in charge, she set the course for where the hotel would go. And he's just left it on the last course that she set it on.
Yeah. Which is
Because-
kind of sweet.
Yeah, and it's
Because Nina used to set all of the course of the ship, which were kind of like different from one another, and then you just let it loop forever for like however long she's been dead at this point. But I really like how haunted the narrative is because of Nina, because she is technically the voice of the ship as well.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
she's like
really spooky.
permanently like in the background of everything.
Yeah.
As it were.
She's in all of the lifts and everything. There was a scene where Carl just literally gets out a lift and sits on the floor just to hear the lift go, first floor.
Yeah.
It was very cute.
Yeah. 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 So it's like, and there are some of the staff who sort of. It's not that anybody doesn't like Carl. People like Carl. He's very likable. But there are some of them who are like, he's running this place into the ground. Mm-hmm. You know, some of them sort of resent him a little bit for letting this happen. Mm-hmm. And it is literally just that, you know, he doesn't want to change anything. Because he came here as like a child.
Yeah.
And it was this place of like wonder for him. And so he has like tried to like freeze that moment in time. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's not, you know, being good for the hotel.
Yeah.
Which is very sort of beautiful in a sad way.
Yeah, it is very, very sweet.
Which I think is how I would describe this entire book now that I think about it.
It's very upsetting. Because, like,
It is.
when... I can't remember who is with Daphne, but when they break into... Rogan. When they break into, like, the cut-off section and they find out, like, Carl's been in there, there's tons of, like, his stuff. It's, like, completely as it was left. Like, they described it as being, like, centuries old. Like, it was like kind of antique looking, which I really like.
Part of the section that was blocked off was like Nina's room where she lived and where she ran the hotel from, and he has just left that as it was. He hasn't touched anything of it because he had this sort of like awe, respect thing with Nina. Like he looked up to her so much.
And didn't she adopt him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She they were like really close.
Yeah.
Very definitely. And so when she died and passed on the hotel to him, he didn't want to change anything because he didn't want to like disrespect her legacy by making any sort of changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what makes the ending so bittersweet. I
absolutely. We'll talk about the ending when we get to plot, though.
Loved the ending, by the way.
It was fantastic, but we will get there.
Yes, we absolutely will. A quick gripe I had with characters in the book. We've probably touched on in writing style and stuff, but it's true that every chapter is a new character or a character we've seen in the other chapters. That I feel kind of at the 90% mark was a bit annoying because it was like, I have all this knowledge of these characters. Why am I still getting introduced to new people?
I can see that, yep.
That was my slight gripe of like, Carl has had 2 chapters and yet we've talked about him in every single thing. Give us more POV chapters of characters we've already seen and already introduced. That's why I really liked Uli and Mara, because their chapters, even though they were 2 different people,
they're both in each of those chapters.
Exactly.
So there's like crossover.
And even they feel like the same like kind of dialogue thing happening. You already are introduced, you're already like in that setting, you're enclosed within their 2 relationship, and that worked really well. I just wanted more chapters with people we'd already met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we had the same sort of thing with Daphne and Rogan.
Yes.
Because we have a chapter from Daphne's point of view earlier on in the book where she starts to interact with Rogan. And then the chapter later on in the book where they end up in this like closed off bit of the hotel is from Rogan's point of view.
Yeah.
But obviously Daphne's there as well, and it sort of continues their relationship, which I agree. I think that those chapters worked really well, and the Uli and Mara chapters. And this is the thing that I wrote for characters as well, why it's not a 10 is because I think we there were certain characters that I would have loved to have more time with. And I
strangely
it's tricky because you don't want the book to be really long.
Yes.
But I wonder if there were some parts where maybe we could have just had like another chapter from somebody we'd already seen.
Yeah.
Rather than a new person.
Exactly.
It's a delicate a delicate balance to strike, and I agree that it's not quite. She's not quite nailed it.
Yeah.
Grace Curtis has not quite nailed the balance there.
But that being said, the character introductions and their backstories, all in the little chapters, perfectly well done. It does begin to feel like short stories at some points. Especially when it's like flashbacks or like them. Or Dunk. I really liked Dunk's chapter of him going back home and trying to get, I can't remember what kind of animal it was for the kitchens.
Yeah.
But his whole thing really was encapsulated with like 40 pages. It felt like a short story, kind of. The same with Sasha/Lucia, with her stealing something on the ship. Once again, it felt like a short story. Which is also not a bad thing. I really like that kind of narrative.
This is probably why it would work really well as like a TV show.
Yeah.
Actually. Because you can have it be episodic.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if you view it through that lens, it kind of works a bit better. But I do think that there's points where I'm like, oh, I would have liked to have seen more of Sasha and Dunk, for example. Because we get one chapter from each of them, and then they're sort of in other people's chapters very briefly.
Dunk is not really mentioned that often. It doesn't really impact the story too much.
No.
Which is a right shame, because Dunk is adorable. Love that guy.
I loved Dunk.
Big beefy man.
He's sort of not really actually that relevant to the plot.
So its chapter could have been
which makes that chapter, like, I loved that chapter. That chapter is great.
Yeah.
I loved getting his backstory, but it wasn't connected to anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't relevant to the plot. And so when you're reading it, you're like, I'm loving this, but also, why is it here?
Yeah. When in comparison, you have like characters like the honeymooners, Mr. and Mrs. Appleseed, the like psychopath, torturer, spies.
So
love them.
Let's talk about the Appleseeds, okay?
I love them so much.
Mr. Corinth.
Yeah.
So Mr. Corinth is a rebel.
Yes.
Right? Like, he's part of, like, a rebel cell, and he has come on board the Grand Abiona because they also think that the lamplighter is somewhere on the hotel. And he wants to get the lamplighter and encourage them to leave with him so that they can be somewhere safe with the rebellion. And Mr. and Mrs. Appleseed are agents of the Empire.
Dun dun dun. They are Sith Lords.
Are here also to find the lamplighter. And they encounter Mr. Corinth and they're like, this guy knows some shit. And so they take him and torture him.
Remove his teeth.
Mrs. Appleseed tortures him.
Yeah.
Mr. Appleseed's sort of there.
He just likes to watch her.
They are deeply fucked up individuals.
Oh,
so they have a
incredibly.
chapter in the book, which is literally, I think the chapter is titled like "They" or something. And Mr. Appleseed is like, he's all, so they've been like partners for years. They are married, I think, so that they can work together more than because they're necessarily a couple.
Yeah.
Like and he is sort of the emotional one. He's the one who like can read people, and she is cold and meticulous and deadly.
Yeah.
And psychopathic.
Yeah.
So they have this whole thing where they sort of balance each other out, and they are torturing Mr. Corinth to try and find out where the lamplighter is, or who the lamplighter is, because they don't know who it is. They suspect, they have reason to believe, because the hotel's been on the same course for years, and they've been able to track the lamplighter's dispatches to matching that course. They're like, clearly it's somebody who's on the hotel. And so they like are trying to torture this information out of him, and there's a point, I think right at the end of their chapter, where Mr. Appleseed like snaps a little bit.
Yeah.
And like tells his wife that she's doing something wrong. Or something. I can't remember the exact.
I think it was like something similar of like, he can't talk if he's dead or something like that.
Oh, I remember. So he takes over talking to Mr. Corinth because her torture isn't working, and he's like, maybe I can like do some emotional manipulation on him. And then he takes off the tape gag that they've put over Mr. Corin's mouth, and he gets, Mr. Corin bites him.
Mm-hmm.
And then manages to knock him out and get away.
Heck yeah.
And so then Mrs. Appleseed is there when Mr. Appleseed wakes up, and she calls him an amateur, and he slaps her, and she's like, there you are, finally. And he thinks that it's like, oh, this is finally the moment at which we like become a thing, right? That we've like finally connected. And then in a later chapter, Mrs. Appleseed is talking to her boss, and it is revealed that she killed Mr. Appleseed.
Yeah.
And so her boss has her taken away.
So fun.
And you're like, it really gives you an insight as to how much of a psychopath in particular she is.
She is. Oh my god,
it's like,
I love
she
her
was just
so
waiting
much.
for him to snap so that she could have like one weird moment of like passionate murder.
Yeah. I for sure thought she ate him. It
did seem that way to begin
reads
with.
cannibally, and I really enjoyed that. Weirdly enough, because she's a downright like, and she went to such extremes level other than the torture as well. It made sense to me. I was like, you have eaten this man. Good for you.
Mr. Corinth is his actual name is Jean, and he has a history with one of the staff on the Grand Abiona, a woman called Angoulême, Angoulon, I don't know, speak French, who was like involved in some rebel-y stuff when she was younger, and is now the like pianist.
That's the one character I don't have written down. We found them.
Interesting.
We found one.
So she is the hotel pianist, and there's a moment right near the end of the book where her and Uwade, who is the concierge, they are performing together because Uwade used to be like a musician when she was younger.
I loved her chapter.
They're performing together, and they like, finish their piece, and everybody applauds, and then she and Angoulême sees Jean in the audience, and she knows that he's like a rebel and is on the run, and she sees the not the Appleseeds because they're gone by this point, but like other agents of the Empire who have come on board, and she's like, I can help him, and so she starts singing another song, trying to like get the message across to him.
Because at this point she's never sung publicly.
Well, she does not sing publicly, and it's a really incredible moment. And she's like, she starts this song to try and get him to run, to give him the opportunity to flee,
which he does not.
He does. He gets away.
He's back at the end.
No, I'm talking about the end.
Oh, wait. Am I being an idiot? I might be being an idiot.
I'm talking about right at the end.
Oh, like before his conversation with Carl.
She sings.
Oh, the Carl thing happens like literally seconds apart. I'm being, that was a mistake.
It's like right afterwards.
That's a me mistake. Yes.
Carl helps him get away.
Yes.
Yes,
I found it. Yes.
So I liked that there was like a thing between them as well. They had like a history thing.
That was very sweet.
But I do feel like, so we had like Mara and Uli, we had Daphne and Rogan, and we had these two, and I like that they were sort of paired off and contributed to each other's stories. But then I think that made some of the other chapters feel even more isolated, because they weren't connected to somebody else in the way that these ones were.
But that was like the same with Sasha and her detective guy.
My God,
really loved. That made me physically like tear up.
Absolutely. So she used to be. She
Was a
had
thief.
a different name. She was Lucia, and like you say, she was this like famous thief, and there was this one inspector, this one detective called Lieutenant Boric, who had been like on her trail for years, and she came to the Grand Abiona to steal something from the Grand Abiona, and he's there too, and
Catches her, technically.
Yes,
as it's
because
kind of like
Nina, who
last.
at this time was still alive and still the manager,
Yes.
knows what's going. Like she puts it all together. Yeah.
He catches her as this kind of like, because he doesn't want to retire or get promoted until he's figured out who has been stealing all this stuff
And how she's been doing it.
Exactly.
Is sort of the other thing.
So
So he catches her and he's like, here's the deal. You give me the thing that you stole and
I let you live here.
we'll pretend that your escape ship crashed and we'll just say that this famous thief is dead and Nina has agreed to take you on as a member of staff here, and you can start a whole new life.
Exactly.
Which is really nice. And then we start getting time skips ahead through Sasha's life. And Boric shows up, I think, every year.
Yeah.
On like the anniversary of the heist that she tried to pull. Initially he like shows up because he's like, oh, I want to ask you about some of the other crimes you did. I want to know how you did them. But then eventually it sort of becomes increasingly just like they're just friends.
hanging out.
They're just friends and they're hanging out, and it's not romantic.
Yeah.
They're just
Which I
friends,
really
and it's
like.
lovely. And then she's waiting for him, and he doesn't show up, but his son does because he has died.
My favorite thing is, are you my mother? No.
Yeah, and the son is like, are you maybe my mom? And she's like, no, we were never that.
Absolutely
like, that's
not. He was my best
that's
friend.
not
How
what they
dare.
were. And yeah, it's,
their chapter. Oh
it's
my
really, it's
god,
really beautiful. Again, like the whole plot, it's like it's really bittersweet.
Yeah, they
and he had this book that he had been reading when he
passed.
when he was on.
Yeah, the Abiona.
I think it was one that he was reading when he was first on the Abiona, chasing her, and his son brings it and is like, he wanted you to have this.
Oh, I forgot about this.
And
yeah.
then he's like circled lines in it.
Yeah.
And when she like touches the page out, it was like, you know, like, oh, she discovers that
It
the
dips.
book has been carved out, and inside is the gem that she had stolen all those years ago, and he'd like returned it to her. Which
He's gonna
is
get
like,
in so much trouble for that. He's dead. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
but he's dead, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the law doesn't apply if you're dead.
There's a lot of moments like this. A lot of the last bit of the book is these really bittersweet,
Yeah.
beautiful endings to various things.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh, here it is.
it really works so well.
Because you also
beautiful.
see, like, Sasha kind of falls in love with a hotel. Because, like, she didn't want to be
Yeah.
there originally, and it's like, oh, I actually really love this place.
Yeah,
It's like, oh. Like, they all really, really... even if, like they say they hate it, they really love the hotel.
I don't think any of them say they hate it. I
Yeah,
think they
they
complain about the
begrudgingly.
way things
Yeah.
are going, or you know, the workload or whatever. But they all do. They are all there
Yeah.
because they
want to be
they
there.
love what they do, and
Yeah.
they love the Abiona. And Carl in particular loves the Abiona.
Yeah.
To the point where Rogan at one point makes a joke that he's like sexually attracted to the Abiona.
Oh, dear
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
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 Shall we move on from characters.
Oh, yes. I think it is time. We have
Let's talk
half an hour.
atmosphere.
Yes.
I gave atmosphere a 10.
I give it a 9. Perfect.
I think it was really good.
Yeah.
I think the vibes were fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the little bits of world building that we got from the
Absolutely.
little excerpts of the Lamplighter dispatches.
Absolutely. Yes.
I thought those were really cool.
Those were so good. I loved everything of them ripping into the Emperor, being like, this guy's just a clone.
Yes. Yes. Oh. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if we should talk about it now or in plot. We'll talk about it in plot.
Okay. A light bulb went off. Okay.
Yeah. No, I thought that all of the stuff about the Lamplighter dispatches and the Emperor, I thought that was really cool. Loved the just like the atmosphere of it all. You can really feel the like this was a place of like luxury and extravagance, and you could feel the like it's now slightly out of its time. It hasn't been kept like up to date. It hasn't modernized. It hasn't changed, and you can really feel that. I think Grace Curtis absolutely nailed that, and like the aesthetic of it. It's incredible.
Really weirdly, it's if A Gentleman in Moscow, the TV show just came out, and I've been slowly watching that, and every time I picture the hotel, I picture like that, because it's got these like grand like winding golden staircases, but at the because it's like after like 40 years later, it's like peeling. There's not that all the paintings are gone. It slowly lost that like unique old classic charm, but it's still kind of holding on, and it's scrumptious. Loved that.
Yeah, it's very much all like one of the sort of themes of the book is about like nostalgia and being like stuck in your own nostalgia and stuck in your own past, and being able to like move on from the past is kind of like what the book's about, and kind of the issue being that Carl can't. He is so lodged in what he wants and what he remembers the Abiona being like as a child.
That's why I really love, is it Reggie, the person,
the bellhop.
Their chapters each at the start of each section. This is kind of writing style, kind of, because I was going to mention it then, but I'll mention it now because each start of each like section, they start with a movie Carl liked from his childhood. Yes. And like Carl physically like cries in one of the chapters, and then the last movie of course isn't finished, and so he gives Reggie a camera to make it himself. I wish we got like a snippet of him starting to make a movie or something. That would have been really fun, but we didn't.
So this is a thing where Reggie has these regular shit movie club things.
Shit movie club,
and he found in what he thought was an old storage closet these movies that are like super banned because they are about aliens. They're like it's fictional, but it features like sentient alien life.
It's a romance as well, which is so fun.
It's incredible. And Carl is like, that wasn't a storage closet, that was my room like years ago. I loved these movies, and it's really because like, so the whole thing with the coded message being about like, you know, another species, and it ties in really nicely to these films that are like Friends from Beyond or whatever. And it's really, I really like how she has tied like, so it sort of breaks the book down into these 3 sections, and each of the sections is like tied in a little bit to sort of the plot of the movie. I love it. It's fantastic.
It was so cute. Because isn't like the last movie of like is like, you won't see me again, but we've got good memories and stuff, which it really ties into the end, and I was like, oh, that's a gut punch. Oh.
Yeah.
And
it's brilliant. It is.
Yeah. It just
Do you have
added.
anything else for atmosphere?
Not really. No.
So I guess we've sort of slid into writing style.
We've slid into writing style. Yeah.
I gave it a 9.
I gave it a 7.
We're on a really consistent thing so far. Every time I've given it a 9, you've said 7.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Ship Movie Club was great in
Yeah.
the sense that it showed the sections of the book and like what was going to happen in those sections, which is kind of great. It also showed that everyone liked each other, even though they like in the
Yes.
found family. Even at the end, they disband, which I'm not a huge fan of when that happens in books. But I was okay with
I think
here.
it was kind of the only way that it could.
Only way could end. Which is
I think
really
if they'd done
sad.
some weird thing where either they like save the Abiona or like start their own new hotel, I think it would have felt a bit like gratuitous almost.
Yeah.
I think kind of one of the themes of this book is letting a thing
Go.
end.
Yeah.
Letting it go. Yeah.
Moving on.
So as much as I would have loved to see them all stick together, but some of them I think probably
I
do.
think some do.
Like Dunk and his boss Ryoko.
Oh, absolutely.
who are chefs.
Yeah.
Are definitely going to stick together.
Besties.
I think probably Daphne and Rogan will probably
Oh,
stick
yeah,
together.
definitely.
You could see sort of Angoulême and Uwade
Yeah.
maybe like, you know, doing music together and not on like a commercial thing but because they enjoy it.
And Garbage
so
the
you can
Rat
see
is
how
still
they
with the ship, probably.
Garbage, I think, no. Rogan
No,
wouldn't have
he
left
definitely got
Garbage.
saved. He got taken away.
Rogan would not have left Garbage
He
the
would
Rat
not
behind.
have left Garbage the Rat. My favourite line in the entire book was when Sasha was like mending something and was like, Garbage was right there. It was like, don't look at him. He's doing fine. Isn't he eating your finger? No, he's not. And Garbage was eating her finger.
yeah. Rogan's like, no, he's just giving kisses or something.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's biting.
That's baiting. He is eating you.
That's
Much
baiting,
like
I think.
Mrs. Appleseed with Mr. Appleseed. He is eating you. She is eating you. I think I've completely lost what I was talking about.
Writing style.
Writing style. I really did love their found family, and I do agree that it did need to
Yes.
disband. As much as I didn't want it to,
Yeah.
I think it was needed.
But I think that's kind of the point.
The point.
Right? Is like that you're not meant to want it to happen.
Yeah.
But sometimes it has to.
Yeah. And of course, we loved the lamplighter letters,
Yes.
the weekly email, as it were.
The Lamplighters dispatches,
Yes.
which like we get little snippets of in between the occasional chapters, and it's just like a really short little like paragraph about like why, you know, what's going on, and
The Emperor's a clone.
little snippets of like who the Emperor is and all that sort of stuff. I think that's really cool.
He's a fake. Don't trust this man. This man, he can't live 500 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's great.
It really is.
Big fan. But the personal gripe of like, previously of please give us more chapters with the same people. That was, that I said earlier, but yeah.
Yeah.
Plot?
Okay. Plot I gave an 8.
I give it a 9.
Interesting.
This is my first time
lowest
higher.
Score.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's your, an 8 is your lowest? Damn, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, to be fair, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Let's talk about the end properly. So,
Mixed feelings.
right near the end of the book,
Yeah.
agents of the Empire are on board the Abiona, and they are planning to like work out which of the staff is the Lamplighter.
Yeah.
They're gonna like interrogate everybody and try and work it out. And Carl is like, my job is to protect my staff. And
Good for him.
he's not necessarily like a rebel himself.
No.
But he is like, I can't let the Empire harm my staff.
Yes.
And so he decides to get Sasha to like break the like gravity on the ship.
Yeah.
And to like break the engine of the ship so that everybody has to evacuate.
Yeah.
And you know,
Because everyone, they're threatening to arrest everyone on the ship unless he gives
Yeah.
up the lamplighter, which he doesn't know who it is. He's not
yes,
been paying attention. He doesn't, well, he has been, but he has no clue. He doesn't want to like distrust one of his staff members or put the blame on anyone. So
Yeah.
he decides to break the ship so that everyone's free to go.
He sets the ship drifting.
Yes. In deep space. So
into deep space. And it's like, we don't have enough staff to like fix this in time.
yeah.
We have to evacuate and just let the ship drift off into deep space.
No messages can
and-
get in and out in deep space.
Just before this, he has had a conversation with Professor Mara Azad,
Yes.
who told him about the message and what it said and where it came from. And
Andromeda.
Andromeda, and he thinks, he basically decides to let the Abiona drift off towards Andromeda.
Yes.
Because he's like, there's probably nothing there anymore.
Because his message is thousands of years old.
Because that
point.
message is ancient. But to him, it's like, that's how this ought
This
to...
ends. Yeah.
Yeah. Ought to go. It ought to drift that direction.
Yes.
Um,
So, he puts everyone in, like, escape pods.
yeah,
believe.
they all evacuate,
Yeah.
and he uses the last bits of the money from the Aviona to like give everybody like a bit of money so they can
Yeah.
get where they need to be or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
But leaving the lamplighter on the ship. I believe.
I don't think so.
I thought.
So we should
they
talk about who
did.
the lamplighter is.
Yeah.
The lamplighter
Dun, 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 dun.
is Kipple. Kipple is the Abiona's like finances person.
Yes.
They are behind the scenes, like trying to keep everything running smoothly, and they are also the lamplighter.
Yes.
I don't think they've been left on board.
See, I wasn't sure.
I thought the way I read it was that they would have been evacuated with the other staff because nobody knew that Kipple was the lamplighter, and that was their opportunity to get away with Mr. Corinth.
That's oh wait, yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Or to get away and do whatever they want. I don't think they would have stayed on the Abiona. But the light bulb I had earlier
Yes.
is there's a so Kipple leaves a letter for Carl.
Very sweet. Carl.
Yeah, which to be fair does start Carl.
Carl.
Insurgents are awful. This man Corinth is standing behind me with his arms folded like a little duchess. Told me we don't have time to write this letter, so I'm writing extra slowly to annoy him. So clearly they are with the insurgents.
Gotcha. Yes.
But at one point they say, I wasn't born to be a parson, I was born to be a ruler, the 17th of my line. Kipple is
related.
a clone of the Emperor.
Yes.
Kipple is one of the Emperor's clones.
Yes.
Who ran
Which
away.
I love.
And they say, after I escaped, with the help of a strange and fascinating woman who loved you very much.
Nina,
Nina.
who was pretending to be, or was, quite high up herself.
Yes.
Yes.
Used to work for the Empire.
Yes.
Before she left to start the Grand Abiona Hotel.
Yes.
All
of their money.
Kipple is like, I decided to model myself into another kind of figurehead, a symbol of truth. And this is why the lamplighter knows all this stuff about the Emperor.
Because they're the same person.
They were like in the system for a long time.
They were going to rule the galaxy.
And I love that.
Yeah. I
love that idea of like, it's not some like, I'm going to reclaim my throne and make the Empire better.
Oh, God,
it's
no.
like, I'm going to dismantle this thing piece by piece.
Yeah. Because the system is...
I have the truth, I have the knowledge,
Yeah.
and I'm going to spread that truth. That is like what I am for.
Yes.
And I love that. I loved that. I think that was fantastic. That right at the end, it's just like, oh, by the way, I'm kind of one of the clones of the Emperor.
Yeah. Just casually, like, hi guys, I'm a clone.
By the way. And I was reading that and I was just like, huh.
It also made a lot of sense because we never, for the lamplighter reveal, anyway, because we never get a POV chapter from KP. I don't think.
Yes.
So
no, we don't. We don't get a Kipple,
only
a Kipple chapter.
Character. And there's hints literally in chapter 2 that it's them because of the poems.
Yeah.
that are going around the ship.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you're the only person who probably should know how this is working. It makes so much sense for it to be them. And it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's a big fan of that ending.
It's brilliant. It's fantastic.
They did a little bit come out of nowhere because of the no chapters thing. But I think works pretty well.
I don't think you could have had a chapter from them.
Because they're in most chapters. Or they're mentioned or talked about in most chapters. We just don't see in their head.
Ever present.
Because if we did, it'd be like, I'm a clone.
And one of the things that I really like as well is that every time, so like particularly in the sort of later chunk of the book, various staff and individuals are theorizing about who the lamplighter is. Like once they're like, oh, it must be somebody on the ship. They're all like, oh, who could it be? And I like that everybody is like, well, it's not Kipple.
Yeah, it can't be Kipple.
It's like, it wouldn't be Kipple. Kipple hates politics. Kipple doesn't want to get involved in things. Kipple just wants to be left alone.
Literally.
I love that Kipple's just like, no, yeah, yeah.
And everyone's spreading rumors like, it's definitely Carl. But it's Kipple. Oh,
except for the leader of the like Empire agents who is on board. She's having a conversation with Carl at one point about like, you know, working out who it is, and she's like, we know it's not you.
Yeah, we know it's not you.
It's definitely not.
He's somewhat disappointed by that. He's like, oh, I'm not a lamplighter.
Oh,
damn.
Okay,
I thought I was.
I also do love in the bit where Rogan and Daphne and Carl are in Nina's old room. Carl says he's like, he mentions, he's like, I could never work out why she left it to me. I thought she would leave it to Kipple.
Exactly.
And I could never work out why she left it to me instead. Like, he says this.
Yeah.
And you're like, because she couldn't leave it to Kipple. Because Kipple needed to be in the background.
Yeah.
You know?
And it made so much sense at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Even Carl was like,
suspect,
you're a clone.
I suspect that that's the moment where he maybe is like, huh. You know?
Huh, damn.
Where he kind of... Because I think the implication is that by the time he decides to, like, set the Abiona drifting, I think he probably has put together that it's Kipple.
Yeah.
And he's...
Most likely.
You know, yeah.
As much as people are like, he's not that observant. He probably doesn't know who it is. I think he figured it out.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't think he'd ever... I don't think he ever would have thought that the lamplighter was on the ship.
Yeah.
But then once somebody put that idea to him, he was like, oh.
Oh.
Oh. And then thought about it and went, probably Kipple then, isn't it?
Probably my sister. Oh, yeah.
Just logically.
My sibling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really liked it. The ending was great.
I think it was a fantastic ending. I also liked how in the first chunk of the book, there's moments where people are wanting to talk to the navigator. And
yes. Like,
there's like the setup of this mystery that the navigator, like who could the navigator be?
Who are
and
they?
Of course, the reveal is that Carl has just left it running.
Yeah.
He's just left the autopilot on the last course that Nina set in.
That's why the ship is slowly going bust, because it's just in a loop.
Because it's going to the same places on a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I liked that there was sort of the setup of a mystery, and eventually you're sort of just like, oh wait, there's not a navigator.
Carl is just
a computer.
sentimental.
It's just Carl left it.
Carl just can't let Nina leave the ship.
He can't let her go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a way, Nina goes to Andromeda.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the ship.
Yeah. Because she is the voice of the ship.
This is very true. That makes me sad.
But yeah, I really loved the very sort of bittersweet.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody goes their own ways, and the Abiona's drifting off into space. And it's very like, oh, that's really sad.
Yeah.
But it's also like really beautiful.
Yeah.
It works really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absolutely fantastically done.
Yeah.
Anything else for plot?
Nope. I think we've covered it.
Excellent. Intrigue.
9.
I also gave it a 9.
Are we
We
best
finally
friends?
did it. I'm so proud of
I'm
us.
so proud of us. Oh, finally. Compared to like last episode where like 90% of it was the same.
Oh god, yeah. I really liked all of the stuff where we sort of learned everybody's pasts. I think that really helped keep me engaged. Was that like each chapter we were like learning bits about them.
Yes.
I agree. More from everybody would
Yes.
be better, or more from
Oh,
yeah. But I really liked this. Like, let's here's a little like glimpse into who this character was and who they are now.
Yeah.
I think that was it. Yeah, it kept me.
Made me
kept
very
really
happy.
Engaged.
Yeah. I read it very quickly.
Yeah, me too.
Because it was just like the chapters were really short as well. Or they felt really short because you were going like past, future, different character, past, future of this person, here, so you're constantly moving.
Yeah.
Kind of like a hotel, constantly moving. Oh, ha ha ha.
Wow. Because every hotel's moving all the time, right?
Exactly. All of them. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say for intrigue.
Yeah.
I also really liked the mystery of like who the lamplighter was, who the navigator was, even though there wasn't one. I think that those mysteries worked really nicely.
At points, I didn't even care if we got a reveal for the lamplighter because I just cared more about like the people on the ship rather than the whole mystery. I was like, I want more maths.
I think that's kind of
what
it feels almost like that's deliberate.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's like let's put you in the mind of Carl, right? Like Carl does not give a fuck about about who the lamplighter
No,
is.
he cares more about his staff.
He cares about his staff. He cares about his people.
Yes,
and protecting them and helping them.
Exactly.
And getting to know them. Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah,
Eve.
Thank you. Nailed it. That's my one good point for the episode. That's all I'm saying now. Good night.
Good night.
It's 11 o'clock in the morning.
I was gonna say it's not even afternoon yet.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loved it. It was great. Logic.
I guess logic.
9 as well.
10.
No. Oh, perfect.
There weren't any plot holes. There's not like a magic system to have mistakes in.
Yeah. I just believe the ship works how it works because, I believe.
Do you know, I like this, right? Some sci-fi, you want, like, not
high
like
intense
details
battle
necessarily, but, and you want, like, what is the technology that makes the ship goes? At least give it a name and talk about it a bit. Whereas this, and I think it feels a bit like Becky Chambers in this regard, although Becky Chambers does have like details.
Yes.
But the sci-fi is just the background against which the characters are placed.
Exactly.
Right? And I like that we didn't get I like that it didn't at any point go into really technical details about how space travel works.
Yes.
How faster than light travel works. We just get little.
Yeah.
It's just sort of there. Just in the background, and we just accept it because it's not about that.
Yeah. I in deep space, messages can't go in and out. Sounds cool. I believe you.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Exactly.
Sounds right.
I like.
Sure.
And because there's points where it's when you're between planets, when they're traveling between planets.
Yeah.
You're on the hotel. You can't communicate with the outside world. You're in we don't really know, but
they're in a bubble
mode.
Yeah.
And I like that it was just sort of left at that.
Yeah.
I think that worked really well for the vibe of this book. It would have felt weird if it was here's how the space travel works,
So
at
1,000 GPM a minute, this is how the engine gets to point A. No, that would not have fit the almost kind of nostalgic. vibe of the book. I was about to say steampunk, but it's not exactly steampunk.
No.
But definitely not.
Although
yeah.
I will say, this is not, it's not steampunk. I don't
Solar?
know about you, but in my head, the aesthetic of the EPSIODE is very sort of like 20s, 30s, jazzy sort of aesthetic.
With like little
right?
flapper dresses.
It. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly the aesthetic.
I think because when you talk about like a like elegant, luxurious,
that's what you
fancy
think of.
hotel, that's what I picture.
The Orient Express kind of vibe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That sort of vibe. Yeah. That's totally unrelated to logic, but yeah.
It's the aesthetic. It's aesthetically logical, you know. I think we nailed it.
So yeah, I liked that we didn't they didn't feel the need to push.
Yes.
Like, it's not hard sci-fi.
Yes.
And I like that.
Yes.
I think that worked.
Sometimes you need a break from hard sci-fi as well.
And in some books you do
refresher.
need that. Like, it makes sense to have the like details.
Exactly.
But this book, it wasn't one of those, and I like that she doesn't try and put that in there. I appreciated that.
Enjoyment?
Enjoyment, also a 10.
I give it an 8. Which is my only 8
I
to
loved
this
it.
entire thing. I loved it
really
too.
I enjoyed it. I don't know what else to say.
Me neither. Absolutely. This book
was fantastic.
Fantastic.
You can expect me to be recommending this one a bunch.
Oh yeah. Can't wait.
Have you read Floating Hotel by Grace Curtis? And also Frontier by Grace Curtis.
Frontier by Grace Curtis. No, you're just going to have to say them both at the
I
same
don't
time.
think I can say just the title of Frontier anymore.
He's got it so ingrained in you.
Like, it's just Frontier by Grace Curtis. Yeah. It's like all 4 words are part of it.
It's the whole title, you know.
I can't just call it Frontier. No. I have to be like Frontier by Grace Curtis. And I think this is going to be the same. Like Floating Hotel by Grace Curtis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. The vibes are immaculate. The ending is beautiful.
Immaculate vibes.
It's really cozy. It's really just a nice read. I think that helps. It's just like it was just pleasant to read.
It's not like your traditional cozy either. It's a bit out there, which I really enjoyed.
I think this is a really good example of how to do like cozy sci-fi.
Yes, that I agree completely.
Because I think when we think
mystery.
Cozy, I think the default is like cozy fantasy.
Yeah.
You know, you think of like
warm
fires and a
mug of tea,
tavern and friends, and I think this is the sci-fi equivalent of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. And Travis Baldry sitting by the fire.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, this is exactly it. Which I also have another cozy sci-fi for our recommendations.
Oh, as do I.
Oh.
Oh no. Should we talk recommendations?
Let's talk recommendations.
Okay, so first on my list, I have Frontier by Grace Curtis.
Me too.
I don't think that will shock anybody. If you liked this and you haven't read Frontier, go read Frontier.
Frontier is really different,
good. But the vibe is also really good. It's a fantastic
read. Very
I know
cute.
You didn't like it as much as this one.
No, this one, in my opinion, was holy crap. It was good. Frontier,
Which
I liked. Yeah.
Frontier is Grace Curtis's debut novel.
Yes.
So you know.
Yeah.
You would hope that there's like improvement.
And they're definitely.
And I will say, like, I love Frontier, but I think I could definitely see how her just general writing is slightly better. It feels like she's like hit her groove.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
In this one.
Yes. I agree.
What's next on your list?
The next is A Sam for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers.
See, I just wrote Becky Chambers. I was like, I'm not even going to pick a one. Just anything.
Me too, but then I was like, oh, I'll choose one. And I was like, either this or A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And I was like, I can't choose. So I'll go with... I did choose. I went with Sam for the Wild Built. Because it's my favourite Becky Chambers.
About Becky Chambers a lot
before.
Sam for the Wild Built is fantastic. I would say also To Be Taught If Fortunate.
Yes.
If you want that really sort of bittersweet ending.
To Be Taught If Fortunate made me physically cry.
Oh yeah.
Especially with And Sam
And
for the
also-
Well-Built, the second one, also made me cry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of her books
It made me cry, yeah.
made me cry. All of the Wayfarers books.
Fantastic.
Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, Close and Common Orbit, Record of a Spaceborne
Yes.
View, and The Galaxy and the Ground Within are all absolutely beautiful. Fantastic books. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just nailed it.
Uh-huh.
If you'd like the multi-character thing
Yes.
that this has, then Record of a Spaceborne View is sort of similar.
Yes.
It's got more characters that have point of view chapters than the other ones.
Same with A Long Way,
Yeah.
Small Angry Planet.
Well,
They have
That's true.
multi-POV, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I would,
Rosemary
I
has
would
like
actually
5
say
chapters.
that probably The Galaxy and the Ground Within is probably the most like this
Yeah.
out of the 4.
Oh, definitely.
Because it's got that same, like, you're in one setting the whole time
Yeah.
thing.
Where they go to, like, little space markets. Pew.
Uh,
That's the only location I can think of.
well, that's in the other ones. Galaxy and the Ground Within, they're on like lockdown on this planet.
Yeah.
At this like hotel place, which I guess
Yeah. Oh, God, then fair. Yeah, that is pretty much, yeah.
is sort of similar.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, all of Becky Chambers' books are very character focused as
Yeah.
well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sam for the Well-Built, just...
Sam for the Well-Built is I don't think I could pick a favorite Becky Chambers.
I think I have chosen
I think it varies depending on the day.
No, that is fair. I think it's my favourite because I've read it the most.
Oh, I see.
I've read the Sam for the Well-Built, like, I think 4 times. In like a year and a half. It's just so
Fair enough.
cute. It's
Fair
about,
enough.
if you don't know, Sam for the Well-Built is about a travelling tea monk and their robot companion, because robots of this world gained sentience and were like, put down their tools and went into the forest and disappeared. And so humans haven't really used robots and that kind of life. And so this travelling tea monk is kind of fed up with their profession. So it's like, I really want to hear the chirp of a grasshopper, and so ventures out into the forest and is like, holy crap, there's a robot, and they become best friends.
Yeah.
And it's so
all about
beautiful.
Purpose and what it means
Exactly.
to have purpose. And
This
whether or not you even need to have a purpose.
Yeah. The answer is no.
It has one of my favourite quotes from anything ever in it, which is, "It is enough to exist in the world and marvel at it. You don't need to justify that or earn it. You are allowed to just live."
I'm gonna
It's
physically
beautiful.
cry. It's
It's-
amazing.
yeah.
It's 100 pages. Please
It's
read
fantastic. Yeah. It's brilliant.
it. It's so good, and it's sci-fi. So there's robots.
Yeah. It's
Called
proper
Moscap.
solar punk.
Is it called Moscap? Moscap?
Yeah.
Moscap. I nailed it. I remember the character's name.
My last recommendation is quite different vibes wise, but I really enjoyed it. It's called Cascade Failure by L.M. Sagas.
That sounds really familiar.
It's probably because it was a Libro FM audiobook arc
Oh.
a couple of months ago.
Oh, I probably got it then.
And looking on Storygraph, it says Cozy Crow wants to read this book,
Nice.
so I'm assuming.
I probably got it.
Which is, it's also quite found family. It's kind of cozy, but not super cozy. And it's, like, very Becky Chambers, but with a bit more action. About this crew who they pick up a guy who he used to be a soldier and he's been branded as a deserter, and they end up tangled up in this like galactic sort of conspiracy thing where there's this group who are deliberately destroying the ecosystems of planets. They're like poisoning, like anti-terraforming planets, basically.
Yeah.
And they have to try and stop what's happening. It's really good. It's really cozy. It feels very gay. It's not like
Yes.
it's not explicitly gay, but it is.
Nice.
It is. There's no like, you know, specifically gay, but there is definitely gay.
What's that sound from Glee? You don't know who you are. I tell you what you are. Me.
Sure. It's really good, and yeah, the found family is strong.
Yes. Beautiful.
And I quite liked the audiobook.
Heck yeah.
The narration was good.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that's my other one.
Beautiful. I have one more. You might recognize it. Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdez. I need to continue on. The second book.
Yeah.
I was reorganizing my bookshelves yesterday. I'm getting rid of a ton of books. So you might get a sneaky photo out if you want anything. But
I probably shouldn't because my TBR is full, but do send me that photo.
I will do. I have Prime Deception is staring at me from my shelf for months. I bought it back in January.
Yeah, it's again fantastic series.
Delightful. It really. I have a hard time reading characters with a like almost similar name to me. Captain Eva Innocente, or Innocente. Eva is very close, and that's what one of my professors used to call me. So I was like, oh, bit strange, but it's still great. But the captain of La Siena, I can never say it right, Serena Negra, the cruise, the Galaxy, delivering cargo for like small profit, and then their sister Mari is kidnapped by a syndicate called the Fridge, a shadowy kind of like holds people in cryostasis kind of and horribleness. The captain then goes on a series of unpleasant quests to try and get her free, which is very fun. I had a great time.
Yes.
That book was great.
It is.
It's
got
so
psychic
fun.
cats in it as well.
Right? And there's even more, I think, in the second book, more psychic cats. Question mark?
I think there's the same number of psychic cats, but there's also other
animals.
Shit. So, the first book is very Mass Effect.
Incredibly Mass Effect.
Very deliberately.
Yeah.
I know that the author is like a big like person who plays video games.
Yeah.
Like they're a big video game
You can
fan.
feel
so
the
it's
fanfic element.
It's like very much worn on its sleeve.
Yeah.
Book 2, there is strong Pokemon vibes going on.
Really?
It's incredible.
Oh, yay.
There's like, again, Mass Effect, but also like Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
And book 3, there's like, I'm pretty sure in book 3 there's like a moment that's very much a reference to like Smash Bros.
Brilliant.
It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love books
And again,
that feel like
very
video
like
games.
cozy found family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I need to read more sci-fi because at the moment I'm reading more sci-fi, so I need to get to it at some point.
Currently in a big old fantasy bush.
See, with sci-fi, I'm halfway through Dune.
Oh,
I know, it was an interesting choice and I'm really enjoying it.
Oh,
which I
good.
didn't expect
I'm,
to.
Reading Earthsea.
I saw that. Oh my god.
I'm near the end of A Wizard of Earthsea.
Oh.
But the edition that I've got is the first 4 books in one book.
Yeah.
So I was like, I might as well just read all.
As you should.
Because even together, they're like 7. Like all together, it's like 700 pages.
Yeah.
But I'm like, do I count this as 1 book or as 4?
4.
Makes sense.
It's just that they're in a compendium. It's a compendium.
A compendium, yes.
So technically, it's 4 books in one edition.
4 books in 1. You're so right.
I am
How
not
do I tell
helping myself
Storygraph
here.
that?
I should.
I was gonna say I don't know why you're. Yeah.
It's 1 book. Slow down.
My issue is now how do I tell Storygraph that I've technically read 4, even though it's only one. I guess I'll just have to...
Mark them all individually.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, don't do that. Why? Please. Oh. It's going to come to, like,
anyway.
next month, and it's going to be like, oh, you've read 1,000 books. Oh, gosh.
No, I've read 42
Yeah.
this year. That's not 1,000.
That's not 1,000.
That's nowhere near 1,000.
Yeah.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
How many have you read?
Shut
there?
up. Shut up. No. Shush.
Oh, I'm no longer double you. You've done enough that
I read 3 books in like in like 4 days. I'm going quite slow at the moment, and you know what? We're chilling.
That's fair.
Last year was really stressful with 101.
That's the only reason that I am competing. I know we've had this conversation.
It's funny though.
The reason I'm competing with you is because you were ahead by one book. One book last year, and so I've decided that now it's personal. And I am endeavouring to outread you this year.
And you are by a lot. Okay, I have a month.
I've been a lot less busy than you, to be fair.
But I've got like a month to like power.
I'm off a whole bunch, so
shit.
Gonna have even more reading time.
And you already read so fast. I was gonna have I've got to pick up like shorter books because at the moment I'm reading only 500 plus books, and it's 500 pages.
Yeah, that's the problem.
My downfall.
I bet we're probably not that far apart in page numbers.
Oh, probably. I think I'm almost hit my page number goal.
I don't actually know. I don't track page numbers. Like,
I just let Storygraph do its thing. Anyway,
okay, we should
probably end the episode.
We should stop talking.
Yeah. Anyway, our book club book for next month is Off With Their Heads by Zoe Hanamakuda.
Yes, which is a sapphic Alice in Wonderland thing.
Indeed.
Right?
I'm excited. Kind of.
I'm wary.
My excitement has considerably gone down for it. But that's only because I might be unhauling Gear Breakers or gifting it to my friends.
Yeah.
I
liked Gear Breakers. I didn't
it.
like the sequel as much.
No.
And I'm a little bit wary. I think as well, I'm just increasingly lately a little bit wary generally of YA anything.
Yes.
But particularly YA romance.
Yes.
I think I'm increasingly at the point now where I'm like, I don't think this works for me the way it did like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, you know? But you know,
we could be pleasantly surprised.
Exactly.
Like Emily Wilde.
I'm also just like, we've had 2 really good books recently.
I don't want to break
this mean
it.
that we're like,
I need to get like really obsessed with this.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll be good.
Hopefully.
We'll find out.
If not, we might be catastrophically failing you guys.
In July.
Yeah. That's scary that it's July.
And if you haven't already, make sure and go and listen to our Pride Month Talking in the Tavern special, where we talk about a bunch of gay books. Yes, Talking in the Tavern.
Talking in Tavern is back. That's very exciting.
And I'm sure we'll have another one a couple of weeks after this episode goes up. Which will be, in fact, that will be our mid-year freak out book
I need to really like bust out some reading now.
Can you read 20 books in the next few weeks?
We're gonna find out.
So you can overtake?
No.
Yeah, so we will see you in a couple of weeks for that, and then in a month for Off With Our Heads.
Yeah. See you then.
Excellent.
Thank you for joining us here at the Tavern. Phoenix, where can our listeners find you outside the podcast?
They can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, or Instagram, all under Beans and Fungi. What about you, Eve?
And you can find me under Cozy Crow with an S and not a Z on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube.
And of course, make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at Hearth and Tome Pod, Twitter at Hearth and Tome, and TikTok at hearth.and.tome to keep up to date with all the goings on here at the Tavern. Bye! The music used in this episode was Midnight Tale by Kevin MacLeod through incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.